Hi, welcome to Sports Monster. I am Adam Ford, and I am the Sports Monster. And we are going to do the top greatest NBA players in the league today. And so this is a video that I was asked to do by a viewer. And so we are definitely, I put my top 10 together of the greatest NBA players in the league today. And usually when I say greatest, it's always obviously with accomplishments and championships. I don't believe you can be great without championships. But in this case, obviously, not all of these guys on this list have championships, but I think their accomplishments make them great. And so I'm not talking about just skill level, I'm talking about accomplishments, what makes you great. And these guys, I'm talking about their legacies. But anyways, before we get into it, if you'll go down and hit that subscribe button if you like our videos, I would greatly appreciate it. And then you'll be updated on all the videos that come out. Videos that are going to come out, obviously, are my predictions for the NBA and my predictions for the NHL as well. Those are videos that are coming down the line. We're just going to wait for the dust to settle and obviously wait for maybe some of these crazy trades that might happen. But we'll see what happens with that. So let's dive into this. Let's dive into this top 10, the greatest NBA players in the league today. I'm not talking about the greatest of all time. We've already done that list. We're talking about the greatest that are in the league today. So these are guys that are still playing in the NBA. An active team. Obviously, there are a couple guys that could have been great. And obviously, there's one guy that I would have put on this list, but I did not put on this list because he is not actually signed to a team, and that's Carmelo Anthony. He is great. Um, if we're counting his accomplishments, just his accomplishments, obviously he has not won a ring. So I had to kind of go against my rule just with mostly accomplishments in this one, just because there's a lot of guys in the league that don't have rings, but they have great accomplishments. And so Carmelo would have been one of those guys that I would have mentioned, but he is not actually signed to a team yet, so I couldn't count him. And there's a couple guys that there was a guy that I would have probably mentioned, but he hasn't done anything for a long time, and that would have been Dwight Howard. He hasn't been great since 2013 or 2014. Just hasn't been good. He's led the rebounding. You know, he's been a rebounding leader. He's been a blocks leader. I mean, he's done great things. Um, but he's not great anymore. He was great, but he's not great anymore. So I would not count Dwight Howard, but that was someone I would have probably put in here if he was continually great. But anyways, number 10 is Anthony Davis. And some people say, well, why would you say Anthony Davis is great? Well, he's led the league 3 times in blocks, which is more than anybody in the league, including Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard has only been a blocks leader twice. Um, you know, he is the youngest player to score 59 points in a game. And so there's a lot of things, obviously he's been an all-star, he's been all NBA, he's been all defense. So I think he's destined for greatness. And I think doesn't have as many accomplishments yet, but he's still, I think he's still working on that. I think he's still setting his legacy. But so far, compared to other guys in the league, I would say that he is great, and that's why he comes in at number 10. He may not have so many accomplishments as the guys higher on the list, but he does have accomplishments, and that's why I mentioned Anthony Davis, who also he did do stuff in college as well. Obviously, he was an NCAA champion in college, so he has had a ring, but just in college. But anyways, the Greek Freak. Obviously, I cannot pronounce his name. He comes in at number 9. I've tried several times and I always say it wrong. So, in respect to him, I'm just going to call him the Greek Freak and not butcher his name. He has a MVP. Obviously, he's the reigning MVP champion. He's also one of the most improved player, which is very interesting. He's the first player to ever be in the top 20 for all five stat categories. He's the only player that's ever done that, been in the top 20 for all five. You know, Some of them obviously was higher than others, but he was in the top 20 for all 5 categories, and no one's ever done that before. He's the only one. He's one of 5 players to have done led in all 5 categories for his team, which is great. I mean, think about that, man. He led in points, assists, steals, rebounds, and blocks. That's that's pretty that's pretty amazing. And then not only did he lead his team in it, he ended in our top 20 for the league in all five of those categories. He's led was in the top 20 for each one, and that's amazing. And no other player has done it. And I think he's destined for greatness. I think that if Milwaukee gets some things right, I think they can win a championship. They just got to get the right pieces to pair with him. I think he needs maybe one more good star, and maybe Milwaukee's there. But they have been great, obviously. And so I say that the Greek Freak is number 9. Number 8 is Klay Thompson. And I put him lower than some guys that don't have championships just because he hasn't made as many accomplishments as some of the other guys. So he has 3 NBA championships, and he has the most combined 3-pointers made. Obviously, he shares this with Steph Curry. They broke it, and then they broke it again the year after that. He also has the most points in a quarter, 37, which is amazing. Most 3-pointers made in a game. Most 3-pointers made in a quarter. And then this also has another one right next to it. Most 3-pointers made in a quarter without missing. So he made 9 3-pointers, and he did that without missing one. So that was two records. And so that's amazing. There's only 3 guys that have records for 3-pointers, and that he is one of them. The other 2 are James Harden and Steph Curry, obviously. And so those guys are the greats of 3-pointers. And so Klay Thompson is great. Some people are like, Klay Thompson is not that great. He has records. I mean, just think about that. The most points in a quarter, 37. The guy's a beast. Plus, he doesn't have the attitude a lot. This is one guy I can say Klay Thompson could play on any team in the league and really effectively change the team and play at a well level. And I mean, any team could use a Klay Thompson. He has the right attitude. He always play. He's just a great player. Very very great player. And obviously, Steph Curry has a great attitude too. The Splash Brothers are great. Their attitude is amazing, and so definitely Klay Thompson is great. He's one of the greatest players in the NBA today. I'm not going by skill level. I'm going by accomplishments, and there's not many guys that you could say have accomplished as many things as Klay Thompson has. I'm not evaluating them by skill level. I'm evaluating them by the greatness of what they have accomplished in their time in the league. And Klay Thompson is great. And number 7, Chris Paul. Chris Paul has been a 4-time assist leader, a 6-time steals leader, which is a record. No one has led in steals more than Chris Paul. He also has the most. He also has the most consecutive games with a steal. 108 games with at least one steal. 108 games. Can you imagine that? Yeah, he stole in 108 games. He always had at least one steal. He's also the only player to lead in assists and steals in the same season. No one else has ever done that. And so Chris Paul is great because of his accomplishments. And he is definitely one of the best point guards that have been in the league today. And definitely a great shooter. And I hope that he gets that ring someday and it really cements his legacy of greatness. Number 6 above him is James Harden. He obviously has been a scoring. He has led the league in scoring. He has led the league in assists. He has an MVP. He is also the youngest player to reach 1,000 career 3-pointers made. Youngest person to do it. And he's the only player to have a 60-point triple-double. That's amazing. 60-point triple-double? Only person that has one. He's the only player to have a 40-point triple-double with less than 30 minutes played. He played less than 30 minutes and he had 40-point triple-double. That's how amazing James Harden is. And like I said, he has other three-point records as well that I have not mentioned. Like I said, there's only 3 guys that have three-point records. James Harden is one of those guys for three-pointers. Him, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson are the greatest three-point shooters in the league. I mean, just imagine that. They are the greatest, and that's why Chris Paul comes in at number 6. The guy that comes in at number 5 above James Harden is because of his accomplishments as well, Russell Westbrook. And some of you guys are thinking, Russell Westbrook is not as good as James Harden or Chris Paul. He has accomplished more than those guys. And he has done something that no one else has done. He obviously he has more accomplishments. He has 2 scoring titles. Not just one, he has 2. And one of those was when KD was in Oklahoma City. He has 2 assist titles, not 1, 2. And he has the most triple doubles in a season. And he's the only player to average a triple double in 3 consecutive years. No one else has ever done that. And he also has he's tied with the most points scored in the fourth quarter of the playoffs. He's tied with many other people, but they scored the most points in the playoffs in the fourth quarter. What's the most important quarter? The fourth quarter. But why do I put him above these guys? He's accomplished more than they have. He has more scoring titles than they do. He has more assist titles than they do. And he's done something that no one else has done. There's only one person that averaged a triple-double in a season, and he averaged a triple-double in 2 seasons in a row. That was Oscar Robertson, but no one has ever done 3 seasons in a row. Russell Westbrook has. He has. That's what I'm saying. He's made history. He's done something that no one else has done. I'm including other great people have never averaged a triple-double that long and that consecutive. You think about that. Michael Jordan didn't do it. John Stockton didn't do it. None of those guys that you would think, okay, these guys are going to be able to do it. They didn't do it. But Russell Westbrook did. And that's why he comes in at number 5. Right, the first person, he is right above the next guys that all have titles. So when he came up below all the guys that have titles. If he had titles, he'd be even higher up on that list. That's great. If he had a title. And hopefully one day he does get a title. We'll see if he does. Number 4 coming in. Number 4 is Kawhi Leonard. And the reason why Kawhi comes in at number 4, obviously he has 2 titles, 2 NBA titles, 2 finals MVPs. He's also been defensive player twice, and he's led in steals. Some of the other guys have more accomplishments. They either have scoring titles or records than Kawhi, but Kawhi is great. And like I said, he's one of the guys that are in the top that he's also been Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row, by the way. And he's led in steals, but he has never led the league in scoring and other things like that. But he is definitely a beast coming off his championship in Toronto, which was amazing. Coming above him is also has the same amount of titles, but he has a little bit more accomplishments. Kevin Durant. He has 2 NBA titles, 2 Finals MVPs. But he has an MVP. He does not have Defensive Player of the Year, but he only has 1 MVP, which, like I said, Kawhi had 2 Defensive Players of the Year. But he has 4 scoring titles, all of which were in Oklahoma City. And here's an interesting note that you should know about Kevin Durant. He was the youngest person to ever lead the league in scoring and have a scoring title. He was the youngest person to do it. The youngest. That's amazing because you got all these great guys in the league like LeBron and all them. And he led the league in scoring and he did it at a young age. That's why Kevin Durant is great. He is definitely greatness. And so he deserves to be on this list, and he definitely deserves to be number 3. Doesn't deserve to be above this guy, obviously, because he has records. And then number 2 is Seth Curry. Interesting note for Seth Curry, he was also born in Akron, Ohio, while his dad was playing for Cleveland Cavaliers, same place that LeBron was born in. So, interesting note. He has three NBA championships, 2 MVPs. They were back-to-back MVPs, by the way. He has been a scoring champion. He has been a steals champion, led the league in scoring, and he's led the league in steals. He has the most three-pointers made in a season. He made that record and then he broke it the next year. He also, like we've already mentioned, he has a combined three-pointers with Klay Thompson, and they made that record and they broke it the next year. So there's other three-point records that he does also hold as well, and so that is definitely something. Like I said, there's only 3 guys that have three-point records, but I put him here because of his accomplishments in the records, and he has the 3 NBA championships. Does not have a Finals MVP though, which is definitely interesting. The first championship they won, Iguodala won the Finals MVP, but which is interesting. But Steph Curry is definitely one of the greatest basketball players in the league, and if he keeps cementing his legacy, he could be one of the greatest of all time, for sure. Number 1 on this list is LeBron James. Is that a big surprise to anyone? Someone say, well, LeBron's not the greatest basketball player in the league today. Yes, he is. He has 3 NBA championships, 3 Finals MVPs, 4 regular season MVPs. He is 4th in all-time scoring. 4th on that list, surpassing Michael Jordan and taking Michael Jordan's spot on the all-time scoring list. Above LeBron right now is Kobe Bryant. So LeBron's not done. Could he become the all-time leading scorer? If he really works at it and depends on how many more seasons he stays, yes, he could. He could beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record and cement his legacy as one of the greatest of all time. And obviously, he's 10th in all-time assists. He's the all-time playing scoring leader. No one has scored more points in the playoffs than LeBron James. And so that's why he comes in at number 1. And interesting note, back to a video of the top 10 greatest basketball players of all time. He is also on that list. Obviously, he's not number 1 on that list. He's number 6. But he's still on that list, and he is one of the only people on that list that had the ability to move up. And I think he can move up and cement his legacy, especially if he wins more titles, if he wins more championships here in the Lakers, which I think he's destined maybe to do. We will see what happens. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see any certain video, you can always leave a comment, and there might be a top 10 that you'd like to see me do. I would definitely greatly do that if you leave me a comment, and I definitely will do that. And if you subscribe, please press the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And this has been the Sports Monster, and I am out.